land to grow fruit, a big backyard, a sprawling garden, maybe even an orchard. That's the lie that's kept millions of people from ever tasting fruit they grew themselves. Right now, there are 20 fruit trees that don't just survive in pots and small spaces. They absolutely thrive in them. And here's the part nobody talks about. Hot climates don't disqualify you. For many of these trees, heat is the secret ingredient that makes them explode with fruit. Whether you're on a balcony, a patio, a tiny yard, or a rooftop, what you're about to hear is going to completely rewrite everything you thought you knew about container fruit growing. We're counting down all 20, and by the time we hit number 1, you're going to have a list of trees you'll want to plant immediately. Don't go anywhere. And if growing more food with less space is your kind of content, subscribe right now and hit that notification bell. You do not want to miss what's coming on this channel. Let's count it down, starting at number 20. Number 20, coffee Arabica. Yes, coffee. And before you scroll past this thinking it doesn't belong on a fruit tree list, hear this. Coffee Arabica is technically a fruiting shrub tree, and the berries it produces, called coffee cherries, are real fruit. Bright red, sweet on the outside, and containing the beans you roast and brew inside. Growing your own coffee plant is one of the most quietly satisfying things a container gardener can do, and it is far more achievable than most people realize. Coffee Arabica is native to the highlands of Ethiopia, and in its natural form, it's a compact, beautiful plant that adapts brilliantly to container life. It prefers filtered light or partial shade rather than brutal direct afternoon sun, which actually makes it perfect for covered patios, bright interiors, or spots with morning sun and afternoon shade. It loves warmth, hates frost, and does incredibly well in humid, hot climates. The plant itself is gorgeous. Glossy, deep green leaves, clusters of fragrant white flowers that smell like jasmine, and then those dramatic red cherries ripening across the branches. Even before you get a single bean, you've got an ornamental plant that people will ask about constantly. For USDA zones, coffee Arabica grows outdoors year-round in zones 10 through 11. In zones 8 and 9, it can be grown in containers that you bring inside during any cold snaps. In colder zones, it's strictly a container plant kept indoors or in a greenhouse. In containers, it stays naturally compact, typically 4 to 6 feet, and it actually fruits better slightly root-bound, which makes pot culture ideal. Give it well-draining, acidic soil, water consistently, but don't let it sit in water, and fertilize during the growing season with a balanced fertilizer. It takes patience, about 3 to 4 years before meaningful fruit production, but once it starts, it's one of the most unique and rewarding plants you can grow. You will literally drink coffee from your own garden. Nothing compares to that. Number 19, Sapodilla, specifically dwarf varieties like Alano or Macaque. Sapodilla is one of those fruits that most people in temperate climates have never encountered, but if you've ever tasted it, you never forget it. The flesh is brown, grainy like a pear, and tastes like brown sugar and cinnamon mixed into a caramel custard. It is one of the sweetest naturally occurring fruits on earth. Not overwhelming, not cloying, just deeply perfectly sweet in a way that makes you stop and think about what you just ate. As a container plant, dwarf varieties like Alano and Macaque are exceptionally well suited. They stay compact, they're slow-growing, they have beautifully glossy evergreen foliage, and they love heat with a passionate intensity. This is not a plant that struggles in hot climates. It is a plant that was born for them. It originates from Central America and the Caribbean, where heat, humidity, and sun are simply the default. USDA zone suitability runs from zones 10 through 12 for outdoor growing. In Zone 9, container culture with frost protection works well. Sapodilla does not tolerate frost. Even a light freeze can damage or kill it. But in a pot, you control that. You bring it in, you protect it, and it rewards you the moment warmth returns. In containers, keep it in at least a 15 to 20-gallon pot to give the roots space to develop. Full sun is essential. This plant wants every hour of light it can get. Water deeply, but allow the soil to dry slightly between waterings. It's relatively drought-tolerant once established, which is another big advantage in hot, dry climates where water conservation matters. The fruit takes a long time to ripen, anywhere from 5 to 8 months from flower to fruit. But once it does, you'll understand immediately why people who grow Sapodilla never stop. Number 18, miracle fruit, Sapodilla dulcificum. If you watched our last video, you already know about this plant, but it deserves its place on this list because as a container plant for hot climates, it is extraordinary. Miracle fruit is a slow-growing, compact evergreen shrub that produces small red berries containing a glycoprotein called miraculin. Eat one of these berries and for the next 30 to 60 minutes, everything sour tastes intensely sweet. Lemons taste like candy. Vinegar tastes like fruit juice. It is real, it is documented science, and it is one of the most genuinely mind-bending plant experiences you will ever have in your garden. As a container plant, miracle fruit is practically purpose-built for pot culture. It naturally stays compact, typically 2 to 5 feet in a container. It loves humidity and warmth, and it prefers filtered light rather than harsh direct sun. The critical requirement is acidic soil, pH 4.5 to 5.8. This is non-negotiable. Get the soil wrong and the plant will struggle. Get it right, and you'll have a beautiful, productive shrub that becomes the most talked about plant in any space you put it. USDA zone range for outdoor growing is zones 10 through 11. In zones below that, container growing indoors or in a heated greenhouse is the way to go. It does not tolerate any frost whatsoever, so hot climates where temperatures stay above 50 degrees Fahrenheit year-round are ideal. This plant is a genuine conversation piece, a legitimate health tool for people reducing sugar intake, and one of the most unique fruiting plants on Earth. If you're going to grow 20 fruit trees in pots, at least one of them should make your guests question reality. This is that plant. Number 17, Dwarf Mulberry. Mulberry in a pot. When people first hear this, there's skepticism, and fair enough. Mulberries are known for growing into large, spreading trees. But dwarf mulberry varieties like Isai and dwarf everbearing were specifically bred for small spaces and container culture, and they are some of the most productive, small-space fruit trees available. What mulberry brings to container growing is sheer volume of fruit for minimal effort. These plants fruit heavily, they fruit reliably, and they fruit on new wood, which means regular pruning, which naturally happens when you're managing a container plant, actually encourages more fruiting rather than less. You prune it. It pushes new growth. That new growth sets fruit. It's a cycle that rewards active management. The fruit is sweet, soft, abundant, and comes in red, dark purple, or nearly black depending on the variety. Fresh off the plant, mulberries are one of the best fruits you can eat. They also make excellent jams, juices, and dried fruit. For USDA zones, dwarf mulberry is remarkably adaptable, zones 5 through 10, with some varieties pushing into zone 11 with adequate water. In hot climates, afternoon shade during peak summer can help reduce heat stress. Keep it in a large container, 20 to 25 gallons. Give it full sun in the morning, consistent water during fruiting, and prune it back after harvest each year to keep it compact and productive. This is one of the highest yielding container fruit trees relative to its size. If you want maximum fruit production from minimum space, dwarf mulberry belongs in your collection. Number 16, passion fruit on a compact trellis. Here's the key insight about passion fruit in containers that most people miss. It's a vine, not a tree. And that's actually what makes it perfect for small spaces and pots. You grow it in a large container, give it a simple trellis, and it climbs vertically, taking up almost no horizontal footprint while producing an extraordinary amount of fruit overhead or against a wall or fence. Passion fruit is native to tropical South America, and it is deeply, fundamentally in love with heat. Long, hot growing seasons are exactly what it needs to fruit prolifically, and in a container with good nutrition and consistent watering, it will produce from spring through fall, sometimes almost year-round in warm climates. The fruit. Let's talk about the fruit. You crack open a passion fruit and you get that instantly recognizable fragrance. Tropical, floral, intense. The pulp is tart and sweet simultaneously with a complexity that you simply cannot get from any store-bought product. Fresh passion fruit juice is one of the great pleasures of container gardening in warm climates. USDA zones 9 through 11 for outdoor growing. In cooler zones, container culture with winter protection works well since it's a fast-growing plant that can re-establish quickly after winter dormancy. Use at least a 15-gallon container, give it a trellis system, full sun, consistent feeding with a potassium-rich fertilizer during flowering and fruiting, and water deeply and regularly. It will reward every bit of attention you give it. Number 15. Kumquat. Kumquat is arguably the single most container-friendly citrus tree that exists. It's naturally compact. It's cold-tolerant compared to most citrus. It's stunningly ornamental when loaded with its small, bright orange fruits. And it produces those fruits almost continuously throughout fall and winter, which is when most other fruit trees in your container collection have gone quiet. And here's the thing about kumquat that surprises people every single time they try one for the first time. You eat the whole fruit, skin and all. The skin is sweet, the flesh is tart, and when you eat them together, you get this incredible sweet-tart balance that is completely unlike any other citrus experience. Kids who won't touch regular fruit will stand there eating kumquats off the plant by the handful because it feels like candy. USDA zones 8 through 11 for outdoor growing. One of the most cold-hardy citrus options available, tolerating brief dips into the upper 20s Fahrenheit once established. In a container, it stays naturally compact, typically 4 to 8 feet, depending on pot size. And it's slow enough that you're not constantly battling growth that's outpacing the container. Give it full sun, well-draining citrus mix soil, regular citrus fertilizer through the growing season, and water consistently without letting it sit in standing water. In hot climates, it will appreciate a deep watering schedule rather than frequent shallow watering. This is an absolutely beautiful container tree that looks incredible on a patio or balcony, especially when the fruit is fully colored up. No container fruit garden is complete without one. Number 14. Dwarf Peach, specifically low-chill varieties like Bonanza, peaches in pots. This sounds ambitious, but dwarf peach varieties bred specifically for low-chill environments and container culture, like Bonanza, El Dorado, and compact Redhaven, have genuinely cracked the code on bringing one of summer's most beloved fruits into small-space gardening. And in hot climates specifically, low-chill varieties are essential because they don't require a long cold period to break dormancy and flower. Standard peaches need 600 to 1,000 chill hours to fruit reliably. Low-chill varieties like Bonanza need as few as 150 to 250 chill hours, which means even the mild winters that come with hot climates are sufficient. You get those gorgeous, fragrant, dripping with juice peaches even when your winters barely qualify as cool. The eating experience of a truly tree-ripened, homegrown peach, warm from the sun, so ripe the juice runs down your arm, is one of those things that makes you understand why people get serious about growing their own food. Nothing sold in a store can touch it. USDA zones 5 through 9, with low-chill varieties like Bonanza being ideal for zones 8 and 9 where winters are mild. Use a large container, at least 15 to 25 gallons, full sun, excellent drainage, regular deep watering during fruiting, and thin the fruit aggressively in spring so the remaining peaches grow to full, exceptional size rather than producing dozens of small, underdeveloped ones. Fertilize in early spring and midsummer. Prune annually to maintain shape and encourage productive new growth. This is one of the most emotionally satisfying container fruit trees you can grow. The flowers alone in early spring are worth it. Soft pink, fragrant, covering the entire tree before a single leaf appears. Number 13. Surinam Cherry, Eugenia uniflora. You've seen this on our bush list, but in its tree form or managed as a small container tree, Surinam Cherry is one of the most ornamentally beautiful and continuously productive small-space fruit plants, available for hot climates. Those distinctive ribbed fruits, ranging from orange to brilliant red to nearly black depending on ripeness, cluster across the glossy, dense foliage in a way that makes this plant look like something out of a fantasy garden. In a container, Surinam cherry stays manageable and responds beautifully to shaping. The aromatic foliage releases a spicy, resinous scent when touched, and the small white flowers attract pollinators intensely. In warm climates, it can flush fruit 2 to 3 times per year, giving you a nearly continuous harvest cycle. USDA zones, 9 through 11 for outdoor growing. It doesn't tolerate hard frost, but in the hot climates where it truly belongs, it is one of the most low-maintenance, high-reward container plants you can grow. The fruit, at full black ripeness, is sweet, complex, and slightly spiced, extraordinary fresh, and even better made into jam or juice. Wait for full ripeness. That is the one rule with Surinam cherry that you must respect. Patience gets you something exceptional. Impatience gets you something you won't enjoy. Number 12. Strawberry guava, Psidium catalianum. Strawberry guava is a compact, beautiful, evergreen shrub tree with deep, glossy leaves and small, round fruits that taste exactly like what the name promises. What a cake and a perfect marriage of strawberry and guava in a fruit about the size of a large marble. It is one of the most intensely flavored small fruits in the tropical, subtropical world, and in a container, it is a dream. It is incredibly heat-tolerant, drought-adaptable once established, and produces fruit prolifically with minimal intervention. In warm climates, it fruits through summer and fall, and the fruit is extraordinarily fresh, made into jam, blended into drinks, or eaten literally by the handful straight from the plant. USDA zones 9 through 11. It handles brief cold snaps better than many tropical fruits, which makes it a good choice for the transition zones between hot subtropical and warm temperate climates. In a container, it stays dense and manageable, 4 to 8 feet typically, and responds well to pruning into whatever shape serves your space best. Full sun is ideal, though it tolerates partial shade. Water regularly during establishment, and then it becomes impressively self-sufficient. This is an excellent gateway plant for people just beginning to explore tropical fruit culture in containers, because it is so forgiving and so generous with its production. Number 11. Pineapple guava, Feijoa acaceloiana. Pineapple guava is one of the most remarkably versatile container fruit trees on this entire list. It handles heat. It tolerates brief frost down to about 15 degrees Fahrenheit once established. It produces fruit that tastes like pineapple, guava, and fresh mint, blended together in the most tropical, exotic flavor package you've ever encountered. And it does all of this while being genuinely beautiful. Silver green leaves, stunning red and white edible flowers, and a naturally tidy growth habit that suits container life very well. USDA zones 8 through 10 for outdoor growing, with some success in Zone 7B in sheltered locations. This wider zone range is part of what makes pineapple guava so appealing. It bridges the gap between tropical and temperate container gardening in a way few other fruit trees can. In a container, give it at least a 15-gallon pot, full sun to light shade, moderate water, and look for self-fertile. Varieties if you're only planting one. The fruit drops from the plant when fully ripe, nature's built-in harvest signal. Scoop it out and eat it fresh, make it into jam, or ferment it. The edible flowers are sweet and faintly spiced. Scatter them on salads or eat them fresh and tell nobody how delicious your garden